Hey guys, Cookout Trades right here, and in this video I'll give you the breakdown of how I caught 1,000 pips on gold last Friday. So get in with me. Yeah, so my strategy is really simple. All I do is price action. Wait, mark your support zone, mark your resistance zone, wait for one zone to be broken, then you wait for the pullback and take your trade. So that's all I do. So let me just explain this real quick for you. But the first thing you need to do whenever you open the chart is to check for the direction, for the bias of the market. Either it's bullish, either it's bearish. So this zone right here was already marked on Thursday as my resistance zone. Then it later broke here and changed it into a support zone. So it was a support zone here. But when I later came into the market, that zone was now the resistance zone. So what I needed to wait for was, or what I needed to look for was to mark my new support zone. So I marked my resistance here, I marked my support here. Then I have to wait for one of them to break, wait for one of the zones to be broken. Then I wait for a retest, then take my trade. So that's what I was waiting for here. The market was consolidating around, then broke the support zone. Then now, as the market is here, it's now a resistance zone here. This zone is now a resistance zone. So I'll just wait for the market to move further below, then make a retest, then sell. But it didn't really take long. It was just a fake out. So the market came back up, then changed this zone into a support zone again. So all I needed to wait for was the market to come back into that support zone. Then I'll take my buy trade. That's simple. So that's what I did. Then boom, 1:3, I hit TP. So since the market has broken, it has broken this resistance zone here. That resistance zone has also turned into a support zone. So all I needed to wait for was a pullback or a retest on that zone as a support zone. Then I take my buys. But the market had its own plans and it hit our stop loss. But we can't just give up there. We marked the market, then we can't just give up here. So all I was waiting for, since the market didn't really respect the zone as a support zone, it broke down. So all you need to be waiting for was maybe a retest here, then sell here, then we can take our valid sell from maybe around this area. But I went back up into that zone as a resistance, as a support again. So all we needed to wait for was that same trade we were looking for previously before it hit our stop loss. So that's what we needed to look for. So we just waited for the market to come back into that zone as a support, then take our buy trade, then boom, 150 pips, another take profit hits. That's simple. Then this zone here where we hit our TP, from where the market reversed from, will be our new resistance zone. So we mark that zone down and we'll be waiting for the market to break that zone, and we look for the retest, then take our buys again. So that's all we was looking for. But it started consolidating. So whilst the market was consolidating, this is already a resistance zone. It came back here as a support. So it's consolidating. Since it's consolidating, in consolidating markets, you can just be taking your buys and sells. So the market has tested first time here, second time here, then the third touch here, we took our buys and 150 pips again, we hit our take profits. And this zone here was already our resistance zone, and we already said we are waiting for the market to break and retest on that zone so we can take a buy. So that's what happened here. So we just waited for the market. We hit our TP here, the market broke the resistance, came to retest back as a support, then we took our buy and another 150 pips hits. So that was simple. Then this trade right here, I thought the market was about to change direction though. So when the market broke this resistance here, it retested on the lower time frame, on the 3 minutes time frame. So I took a sell from that side. And luckily for me, my trend line was already marked. So when the market reached here, I knew it would reverse from there. So I closed from that side. So we was able to bag about 90 pips from that side too. Yeah. Then waited for the market to go up again, then retest on this same zone. So this here, when the market was here, when we took this sell here, it was a resistance zone here. You understand? When the market broke here, it was a resistance zone. But when it went up again, it was now a support zone here. So all we needed to look for was a retest. So the market retested on that zone again as a support zone. Then we took our buys. 150 pips hit again. Then that was our sit win for the day. Then later on Friday, we caught our last trade. This wasn't really 150 pips though, but we still caught a good trade here. So guys, that's it. And this was my profit and loss. This was my P&L after the day.